Welcome. In front of me is a Nubia Redmagic 8 Pro, and today I'll show you several tweaks and tricks you can do on this device. Now, some of them will be just for general everyday use, modifications, let's call it that, and some of them will be specifically for gaming, as this is a gaming device. So let's just get straight into it. I'm going to start off with the everyday usage ones. So first thing that I did on this device was changing the color mode on here. So we do that by going into the display section and navigating into screen display preferences. Not sure why they say screen and display. It's basically the same thing, but I guess lost in translations. Now I chose sRGB color gamut. By default it is set to vivid, which for me, at least my taste, is a little bit too colorful, so I prefer something more accurate. Now if you want something like super toned down and desaturated, the natural mode looks to be the least saturated out of all of them, but I stuck with the sRGB color gamut. Now here all you need to do is, or what I recommend doing, is select whatever you think looks best for you. I myself prefer less saturated images, so that's why I went with the sRGB, which also supposedly is color accurate. Now, moving on to the next option, it's going to be the screen refresh rate right over here. Now we have three different modes, so we have 60, 90, and 120, and we also have whatever that toggle is, so the status bar shows refresh rate. Yeah, I don't need that. So you can choose whichever one you want. 60 will give you a better battery life over the 120, and 90 is basically the middle ground. I do prefer the 120. This is a big device, has a big battery, so it can handle this kind of refresh rate without really giving much of a hit to the battery. So I'm going to be sticking with the higher refresh rate, but like I said, if you want to prioritize battery life, you might want to consider switching to 60 or maybe 90. Now moving on, we will have the gesture navigation, which is located on the navigation button and gestures. And by default, this device, I believe, comes with just a navigation bar, aka buttons, but I personally prefer the gesture navigation, so the second option. And what I also like doing is turning off the button indicator bar, which is the bar at the bottom. It is pretty unnoticeable on here, so it is like super tucked away, but still it's visible and it serves no purpose, so I just prefer to hide it. Okay, so moving on, now we can touch upon the personalization section right here in the settings, and here you can set up a couple different things that will just allow you to theme your device to be a little bit more customized to, well, fit your kind of preference on how it looks like. So we have themes, and here we have a couple different themes that come pre-installed with this device, and I believe you can also download more and install them and then select them, but I'm not going to be doing that. Then we have always on display, several different options, along with the little anime girl that you can have as a companion that can give you, happy birthday if you need that. And apart from that, I have a couple additional more typical things like fingerprint style. So this just has an animation for when you're scanning your finger on the display. There's a couple ones to choose from, so select whichever one you think looks coolest to you. Wallpaper, I'm not even going to touch upon that one. Light strip settings, I actually don't know what that is, so let's see. Is it maybe... Nope, I don't see any kind of lights at the back. Yeah, I have no idea actually what that is. And there's nothing that would actually indicate easily for me what it is. Anyway, you can probably mess around with it and eventually find out, but I'm not really going to devote too much time into that. So moving on, another thing that you can do here, which might not be as easy to find, it's the split screen option. So what you can do is go into your recent applications, and you will have this super counterintuitive icon, almost like a switch one. When you press on it, it counterintuitively swaps them top and bottom, not left and right like the icon shows. Go figure why. But then it will show you your applications at the bottom that support split screen. So you can choose whichever one you want. Let's say I'm going to select Chrome, and I can split screen with 2 different applications. Can shrink it. A good use case scenario for this kind of thing is running YouTube at the top and then browsing the web at the bottom, because YouTube is annoying and always pauses your media when you close it unless you're paying for premium, which I'm not sure why would you when there is Revanced. Anyway, so yeah, that will allow you to then play music while doing other things. Keep in mind, you will still need to have YouTube open, basically right here, but it allows you to actually use your device and be able to do other things rather than just being locked into YouTube. And still, like before, if you lock your device, it would stop the playback, so nothing has changed. Unless you go with Revanced. Anyway, moving on. Now I'm going to touch upon the gaming aspect of this device. So, number one, we have a fan. If you choose to run games not through the game launcher, you can then manually toggle on fans in here. And you do so by just finding the toggle in here and tapping on it. Oh, there we go. Cooling fan. So it turns on. You can hear it, but probably if you're going to be playing some kind of music on here or media from the game, it's barely audible. When I'm talking, I can't really hear it. I can put it next to the microphone just so I can maybe gain idea how loud it is. Yeah, no, you can't, because the microphone isn't really picking it up. So anyway, that's basically the fan. Now, another thing that you can utilize, instead of just toggling on and off manually, is the game mode. Now, there is a function here, this little slider, and when you swipe it, it enters the game mode. Now, I don't have any games, so what I opted to do is using browsers as the option for this, which still works. And I just start one of them. So when you start it, let's give it a second. It opens up in browser, at least in our portrait mode. So I'm gonna want to flip it to landscape mode if it does it. Come on. This device is particularly annoying when it comes down to flipping the content over. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it through here. So it seems a little bit dumb, but what can we do? So if I do this and this, no, still nothing. Are you kidding me? Come on. Come on. Now you're just messing with me. Now you're messing with me. Come on. You can't make this shit up. Let's try to close it completely. Stop it. And open it up. Ah, there we go. And as you can see, it now flipped. Now, the reason I wanted it to flip is because one of the features that I wanted to showcase will not work in portrait mode. So we only can use it in landscape. Now, when you enable this, you will have these bars that just disappeared, but we can just kind of swipe. You can swipe again. Come on. There we go. To whip out our control center or whatever flashy name they went with. Now here we have a bunch of different information. So we have things like our CPU clock, which is right now at a little bit below 1 gigahertz. Then we have GPU clock. This is at 125 megahertz, not gigahertz. And then we have a bunch of different toggles that we can quickly access in here. So the notable ones are any game, or actually I should start off by kind of explaining one thing. So any game that we added into this launcher, so the one that you flip here, will then, whenever you launch it, open up in this mode. And also, the reason I'm mentioning that is because it will automatically opt into running a fan because it considers this as a game, so it tries to optimize it as much as it can. Now, another benefits are you can run your device at a lower frame rates, your display, and when you open this up, it will automatically swap to whatever you choose in here. So it gives you a pretty decent control over your device. Now, additional, we have more info that we can display. So we have time, frame rate, network speeds, battery usage, And the last one is, I have no actual clue. I think how long we have been playing. But it detects that this is not really a browser, so it's not... Oh, it does actually show frame rate once you start moving. So right now apparently it's running at 0 frames. But when you start moving, it goes to 60. Basically 60. Even though this should be 120. In any case, I'm gonna turn that off. Now, we can swipe here, and we have a bunch of different toggles right here that we can access. We can enable the no calls, which is a pretty nice feature when you're playing games. You can just kind of mute it, and you won't be interrupted, which nice. And last thing will be the little buttons that we have right here, which I did already set up. That's why it kind of closed right now, but by default they will be off. So to set them up, we need to find this toggle in here, which was somewhere. Oh, there we go. So this one right over here. This will then open up this window. By default, they will be turned off, so make sure you first toggle it on, and then find the left and right button, position it where you want it. Obviously, you would want to set this up while running a game, and most likely you'll probably be setting both of them up somewhere around here, considering most games have things like the scope in and shoot somewhere around like right over here. So let's just presume that this is a game and you have this little wheel right here, and from there you can just close this, and when you tap on it, it will now basically be imitating you pressing the display exactly at this spot. So for games like shooters, you can now scope in and shoot at the same time without needing to actually have your finger right over here, so you can be still panning around, which is pretty nice. So there we go. Now, with that being said, this would conclude the tweaks and tricks that I wanted to showcase. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.